everyone. My name is Noelle Cardarelli, and I am in my last year of studies as a naturopathic doctor and also to get my master's degree in acupuncture. Just to give you a little bit about me. So, today, what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make a variation of fire cider tonic. So, you may have heard fire cider before. The ingredients that have been used in the herbal community for centuries together separately, but they all have medicinal properties. So the cider itself is an age-old folk remedy, and it's been passed on by the herbal community, and it was popularized by Rosemary Gladstar in the 1970s. So I'd like to share a quote from Rosemary herself. I would really go almost as far as to say that all herbal remedies and formulas are handed down and passed down through many generations. The information comes from ancient plant wisdom that really doesn't belong to us, but it's ours to use and to share. This particular recipe is based on ancient history. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar, but if you do drink fire cider tonic or have ever made your own before, someone did try to trademark it. So it's actually ruled that it's illegal to trademark the fire cider tonic because it's been used for so many years. But I did just want to give a little bit of credit to where it originated from. So again, Rosemary Gladstar coined the term, but the plants, the ingredients, the remedy itself has been used for generations. And also prior just to making this, I do want to take a second to just give some gratitude for the plants and the medicine that we're using. This plant wisdom has been passed down by herbalists for generations, so I'd just like to pay a tribute to all of the herbalists who have come before us and all of those who are going to come after us, and then also to the plants themselves for the plant wisdom that we are going to be benefiting from today. So first, what you're going to need for today's fire cider tonic is some raw apple cider vinegar. My choice is Bragg's. I typically use this for cooking as well. A few habanero peppers. I have 4 of them. 2 large onions. Equal parts of horseradish and ginger root. I did about 7 inches, I'd probably say, of each. And again, you chop them roughly. I'll go into detail about that a little bit later. And then I used about 2.5 whole garlics. We're going to be using 2 oranges, 2 lemons. We have some thyme, some fresh rosemary, and also some honey. If you do have your own bees or you get local honey, that's even better. This one is just organic, unfiltered from Trader Joe's today. So for the sake of time too, I also kind of roughly chopped a few things, but I will also chop a few things while I'm explaining things a little bit more. Also, if you want to have a cutting board handy, a nice sturdy kitchen knife, a fork. I'm using a gallon mason jar just because it's easier so I can share this with people afterwards. So I'm making a big batch, but you can always either make it smaller and reduce the portion sizes, or again, make a big batch. It's great to share with people, especially around the holidays. Also a cheesecloth, and then I just have some other bowls just to kind of put scraps and things. So first off, just the general properties of the tonic itself. So everything in here is going to be immune supportive or immune modulating, relatively warming. We're using, some spices and things like that to get the blood moving, and just overall tonic. So if you're not familiar with the word tonic, it's basically used to help restore, tonify, invigorate the systems of the body, and just to promote general health and well-being. So kind of went over the ingredients, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the active ingredient in each herb, or again, like the apple cider vinegar that I'm using today. There are a variety of other active ingredients and a variety of other medicinal properties that these plants and herbs have, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to be talking about what they pertain to for the fire cider tonic. So again, this is super immune supportive. It's great, around the holidays where the weather's getting colder and you just kind of want to do something to keep your body strong and prepared to face whatever. So that's kind of the purpose of what this is going to be today. So the apple cider vinegar, the major ingredient in this is acetic acid. So it's antimicrobial, it's also anti-inflammatory, and a lot of people and other sources kind of cite this as a digestive aid, but these aren't really supported with clinical research right now. It doesn't mean that it's wrong or it's false, but it's not clinically supported. So for that purpose, I'm not going to list it as a digestive aid, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't do that. Next we're going to have is lemons. So lemon is a citrus. It's also antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant. It's used to increase gastric mobility as well. And some of the active ingredients are citric acid and hesperidin. So what you're going to want to do for this too is we're going to chop these up. We're going to leave them kind of thick, so there's also the rind in it. A lot of the nutrients, especially in oranges and lemons, are in the rind, not just in the fruit itself. So next is also the orange, and this is going to also be using, again, like the peel and the zest. And this has flavonoids. It's rich in ascorbic acid and vitamin C, but actually, you know, a lot of things like peppers even have high vitamin C, so I don't want you just to associate orange with vitamin C because it has a variety of other good benefits for it, but that is one of them. But again, the most of the nutrients in this are going to be in that white rind and not just in the fruit itself. And again, this is going to be antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory. And next we're going to have on our list is horseradish root. So for the sake of time, I cut the horseradish up, but it's a pretty gnarly root if you guys haven't seen it before. And it smells amazing. I mean, it's kind of the only thing I'm smelling right now over here. So you can just, I'll go into actually the sizes of dicing things when I'm making it itself, but just for the purpose right now, the horseradish, the active ingredient in it is going to be isothiocyanate. And it's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, immune modulating, and antimicrobial. And then next on our list is going to be garlic, which is just one of my all-time faves. It's a great seasoning, spice for everything, and you know, it's really potent antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and antioxidant. So we're going to have a lot of garlic in this recipe today. And then next we also have the habanero pepper. So this has, you know, the warming and spicy properties to this are very blood moving. And this is also going to improve circulatory function. It's antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and analgesic. And then also next we're going to move on to the ginger root. So the ginger root, some of the active ingredients include terpenes and oleoresin. And this is an antiemetic, meaning it helps with nausea and to prevent vomiting. Also an antioxidant, it is anti-inflammatory and an analgesic as well. And this is going to be warming as well, again adding to kind of like this spicy, warm fall vibe of this entire recipe. Next, we're going to have thyme. So I got fresh thyme just from the store. Make sure it's either local, organic, or even if you have your own farm, you can, you know, or garden, I should say, and you can use your own thyme as well. And then thyme is also an extremely potent antimicrobial. One of the active ingredients are thymol, and it's also used as an antiseptic, immune modulation, and as an antioxidant. Next, some rosemary. Like I said, I don't have a garden, so I just got local organic rosemary from up the street. And that's going to have rosmarinic acid and camphor as two of its active ingredients. So the properties of this are also anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antibacterial, and analgesic. And then next we're going to have our delicious honey over here. So the honey is antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and if it's also used from local bees, it can help with seasonal allergies, fun fact. So you think, you know, you're being exposed to the pollen and the flowers and all of the plants close and local to you. So if you use local honey, that's going to benefit your immune system even more. And then lastly, we have our onion. So the onion has quercetin, organosulfur compounds in it, and those are going to be attributed to most of its active, medicinal properties. So it's antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and an antioxidant. It is similar to garlic. They're both in the same family, the allium family. So, like I said, these are kind of a nice introduction to the herbs that we're going to be using today. And now, here we have our half-gallon mason jar. A bit tricky to get open. So first, what we're going to do is roughly chop your onion. And for this, for the sake of time, I did put some aside over here, and I am so I'm gonna put these just on the bottom of the jar. And again, the pieces are about, you know, this big. You can see the jar is getting a little bit filled up over here. I'm also going to just chop this onion over here. I would usually keep a bag handy as well, but since we've misplaced it, here we go. A bag just kind of throw all my things to make it a little quicker to do. This really shouldn't take very long. You know, cutting the vegetables and the plants are really the longest part of this whole process. But other than that, you're just gonna be putting it all in and letting nature work its little magic on these. So again, I'm gonna roughly chop the onion. Also, too, because I do believe I missed this in the beginning. So in order for this to really marinate and get all of the good juices in here, this is actually going to be sitting away for 4 weeks. So when we're done making this, we're really just going to not be able to touch it for a few weeks just so all the nutrients are absorbed in it. So that's why this is a great idea if you want to, you know, make gifts around the holidays. It'll take 4 weeks and, you know, as long as you don't mind spicy, because this is going to be a very spicy tonic here. Garlic also, I chopped off not super small. Again, this is, you know, very loosely chopped. You can have all of the ingredients sit in relatively whole because they're being infused. For space purposes, if you want to chop things up smaller, you absolutely can. But they're about, everything I'm cutting up right now is about a ½ inch to an inch in size. And then also I shaved the ginger and the horseradish root prior to making the video, but I do like to save and use all, I don't like to use anything left undone. So if you have a compost pile, you can always add that to your compost. I have a lot of ginger pieces left still, if you can see in here. So I'm probably going to make like a little tea with it later, just put some hot water in with it just so nothing goes to waste. Relatively big as well, as you can see. Did have some big lemons. Just want to make sure there's enough room in here, but I don't want to get rid of too much of the white, like I said, because that's where all of the medicinal properties are. And if any of you are familiar with Hippocrates, you know, he once said, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food," and I think that's definitely something people could use more of, and food is medicine. And this right here is definitely medicine. Next we're going to do the orange, the same way that we did the lemon. So it's looking that I may have gotten a little overzealous with the size of the lemons and oranges that I was able to get a hand of. So I'm probably just going to use one of each for today, just because the jar is getting relatively full. We want to make sure we have room for the rest of the ingredients. So I'm done with the orange slices. You can kind of see my jar is getting pretty full now. Shake it up a little bit to get some of the room down. And then next we're going to add our ginger, which we already cut up. Again, about 1 inch. Or 1 to 1.5. Sorry, 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Horseradish is next. We can use the rinds of our lemon. Then next we're going to add our Habanero Peppers. So this, you're going to remove the stems. And again, Habanero Peppers are very spicy. For those of you who aren't super fan of spicy, this is going to be a very spicy tonic. You can always not add the habanero if you don't want to. You can add less of them. I'm doing it in a way so I'm just going to poke a few holes with a fork in it so it helps infuse, but not all of that flavor is going to get in there. It's still going to be sitting for 4 weeks, but it's a little bit better just to kind of effectively get the flavor in without it being overpowering. Got one. Just poking about like 4 holes maybe in each one. Got our habaneros in there. Next, I'm going to add some thyme. You can be really generous with how much thyme you put in here. But I probably wouldn't go with the whole box. I'm going to use about, I'd say, 1/3 of the box of thyme. So I want to make sure there's enough room for everything to steep to kind of shake things up a little bit once I put the vinegar in. And next we get some rosemary. Probably add a few sprigs about this big. I have about 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And next I'm going to add some honey. You can measure it out if you would like to, but I'm just going to kind of drizzle it over everything on the top. I'd say I'm aiming for 2 to 4 teaspoons of the honey. You can always add more after it marinates as well. So next we're going to add the apple cider vinegar. I always shake it up a little bit just to get all that good stuff on the bottom. So the raw apple cider vinegar has some probiotics in it, which is also beneficial. I'll make sure we get some of those cultures in here as well. Now before I fill it to the top, I'm just going to kind of give it a nice shake just to get everything around. Definitely make sure it's on tight enough so none of the liquid comes out. Definitely got some on myself, but it's okay. That's what I things mixing up a little bit better. So this one called for exactly 2 bottles of the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. I got 3 just because I didn't want to be short during the presentation. But this, my friends, will be your tonic. So once you're done with this, have some cheesecloth over here. So you can just cut a small piece of cheesecloth and put it over the top of the jar. Take this lid off. And then I'm going to cut a piece and put it on top of it. This will just prevent the metal lid having any kind of a reaction with the ingredients in there. And also, you're going to use the cheesecloth to help filter out the actual apple cider vinegar away from all of the fruits and the herbs when you're done. So once you're done with this, you're going to put this in a cool, dry place for about 4 weeks, and then you'll be ready to serve it. Hope you guys enjoyed this little video. If you're interested in naturopathic medicine or acupuncture, you can definitely reach out to the University of Bridgeport clinics. I will be one of the doctors. They have the student interns, and then also a bunch of my colleagues who are wonderful, very brilliant, budding naturopaths. So if you're curious about other ways food can be your medicine or ways to heal yourself with the healing power of nature, please reach out to us, and we're more than excited to have you. Thank you.